Ready for this week's guest? Good, because that's what's next on the Geek Speak Show.
All right, we're back. And this Saturday, the entire Geek Speak team will be celebrating Free Comic Book Day. Where else? At a comic book shop. But, like I said a few minutes ago, it will not be, for the first time, it will not be at Flying Colors Comics and other cool stuff. This year, we're going to be joining the Empire, the Inland Empire. Don't get crazy. Specifically at Rancho Cucamonga at Color Fantasies. The shop and the owner, Chris Brady, they're also celebrating 20 years since Color Fantasies opened their doors on May 6th, 2006. So I invited Chris Brady to join me on the show today, and here he is. Chris, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us to this one. And also, well, before we start talking about Free Comic Day, let's jump in a time machine. Let's go back 21 years ago. What were you doing? What was Chris Brady doing before you opened Four Colors?
Chris Brady was a used car manager at a dealership for 3 years before I opened the shop. Was going into work every day, and on my way in, I'd stop and vomit blood and realize that I don't want that stress anymore and left that craziness and took on a whole new stress at that point. So, but it's a stress I enjoy. So,
yeah, so who or what gave you the idea, or how did that idea get in your head? Hey, let me open up a comic book shop.
Well, we've been shopping. My partner and I had been shopping at shops in the area for like 3 or 4 years. Before that, we were going to one specific store. And honestly, wow, this probably doesn't sound good, but I started the store out of spite because I went in that shop after spending $250 a week at his store and was missing a comic. And I was like, hey, dude, if you ever find, and mind you, he never knew my name the 3 years I was there. I said, the manager, I'm like, if you find a copy of this, I don't care what it costs. I will pay you however much you want for it. I just need to have it because I'm a completist and I need it in my collection. And he looked at me, laughed, and walked away. So at that moment, I was like, oh, you know what? Okay, I see what's missing. Customer service, God forbid. People actually be nice to their customers instead of making them feel like idiots for being around them. So I was like, okay, yeah. So yeah, this is the first time I ever thought about that. I did start it out of spite, but yeah, we kind of picked an area that was about 10 miles from any other shop and in a quiet nice little town, and picked our location and started from there. It was, I had to literally hunt down all the information because there wasn't anybody who was sharing on how to open a store or any information out there. So it was like, oh, okay, I got to try to track all this down. So,
yeah. We're laughing when you say out of spite, but really for this audience, you could say, and they'd get it. It's a perfect reference. You could say, kind of like Thanos, fine, I'll do it myself, is basically what you
exactly.
say.
Yeah, or one of my customers said it to a customer that was in here one time and was being a jerk, and he looked at her and said, you know what? I guess he can be your supervillain origin. So it's the same kind of concept. Yeah. When we opened, I actually sent an invitation to our grand opening to that store, and at the bottom of all our invitations, it said, "Thanks, Jim. It's because of you." So so yeah, it was spite. Wow, I just realized that.
Wait. You don't, you kind of mentioned the name, but you don't have to say the name of this. Does that shop still exist, or are they?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Okay.
So
yes.
20 years later, you can say, thank you. Well, Jim, you said
it. And that's the funny part is that, the owner didn't come to our shop until like 6 years in. Because when we first started, we also had 20 PCs for a LAN center, and we were like half LAN center, half comic book shop. Mm. And, the focus was comics, not LAN center. And slowly but surely, that LAN center went away to where we only had like 5 PCs at one point, and then we took them all out. But he came up to the shop thinking that we were just like, you know, a land center with a rack of comics. And he stopped by to check it out. And as soon as he walked in the door, you saw his face just kind of drop. And he was like, He was like, "Hey, how you doing, sir?" You know, because I recognize him. So, you know.
Yeah. Now,
that's kind of why I don't like do pictures very often. Is because I like to be able to sneak into people's shops without them knowing me. So yeah, that way I can check out what they're doing. So I can steal their ideas.
And of course, I asked you, "Hey, let's do video, Chris." Why not? So
well, good. I'm good. You know, it's okay.
Yeah, but like you said a minute ago, the back then, no one was willing to share. You know, give you basically a comic shop 101. So I mean, from Chris Brady's experience, looking back now, almost 20 years later, what's the hardest part about opening a comic book shop to you?
For me, it was, you know, I never went into it with the expectation of stealing somebody's customers. You know, I always wanted to get my own. So, I mean, that was the biggest hurdle was building your own customer base. Because geeks are very loyal to where they go, even until they get screwed over bad enough that they're just like, I'm done with this, you know? So, but I mean, that was the hardest part, was trying to get the marketing out there and getting people to know you're there and getting new customers. It kills me. Even after 20 years, I still get people coming into the store and they're like going, "Wow, I didn't even know you were here." And I'm like going, "Oh my God." I go to like every community function. We used to sit in the movie theaters and hand out flyers to every single person going through the movie theaters. So, I mean, the marketing is the biggest part. So.
Well, the other thing also about that, back in 2006, a lot of people don't believe me when I say this. If you really think about it, social media wasn't really what it is now. So, you know, people are probably thinking, why don't you put on social? Well, it wasn't what it was today.
No, it was MySpace. We had a MySpace page for the store, but I mean, it's like, oh, I post a cool little meme or something, you know. It wasn't like, you know, I could like send out like we can now, but no, there was none of that. It was all still like, perfect example, Jeff Johns came out to our store in 2008. I got a phone call from him on the Wednesday before the Saturday he was coming, saying, "Hey, I'm going to be out there this weekend. Is that cool?" I had no email list. I had nothing. It was me like telling everybody coming into the store. So it ended up being like a intimate moment with Jeff Johns. And it was like only like 20, 30 people there. And, you know, it was cool. But I mean, it was like, now, honestly, if anybody says they want to come out, I got almost 16,000 people on our email list. So it's like, boom, here you go, you know, and we'll get a good crowd for everybody. But back then it was like, wow. Yeah. Like Robert Picardo did the same thing. He called me like the day before and said, "Hey, I'm coming that way. Would you like to have me come in and do a signing?" And I'm like, sure, you know, but again, it was MySpace. It wasn't like you could do anything with it. So.
Yeah, so that was actually a lesson that I had to learn when I started the show too, because social media even in 2010 wasn't the same as what it is today. So I get that. Now for you, again, going back a little bit, what do you remember from the first day that you were actually in business and the first full week of the shop actually being open?
First day, the thing I remember the most, like I said, it was Free Comic Book Day. But the thing I remember the most was, honestly, it was my family coming out and being there, and just everybody just coming into the store and staying around for like 3 or 4 hours. You know, all these new customers. I still have my very first customer is still, you know, very first 2 customers still come to the store. They've moved away. But every time they, you know, are down in this area, they come in and they're like, you know, so it's like, you know, I still see all these people 20 years later. Some of the kids that would come in for the land center, you know, they're having their own kids now, you know, so it's kind of, makes me feel old, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing I remember most. Oh, and the empty shelves. It was like the store was so empty back then, man. It's like looking now, I'm like going, what did we even sell to stay open? So, but yeah.
No, I mean, I get that part also. Like I said, like I mentioned, and everybody that listens for a long time, they know we've always covered Free Comic Book Day at its birthplace at Flying Colors Comics back in Concord. And if you watch our videos from our coverage there, the same thing. There are kids that are literally, you see them get taller, a little bit taller every year, every time we have them on there. And you said there are some that have their own families now, which is great because you see the next generation also start becoming comic book readers. So I like that part. But yeah, if you also watch the videos, you can see I have a little bit more gray in the beard. So there's that side too.
Yeah. This is all, this is all from the store. I'm not going to lie. So,
yeah. Well, having said that, I don't know if you want to mention the ones that gave you some of that great, you can too. But what are some of your favorite memories? And give as many as you want and take as long as you want from the almost 20 years of Full Color.
Oh my God. Creators coming that were just awesome to be around. I mean, like I said, Jeff Johns, we've had Gail Simone. We're the only shop Gail Simone's ever gone to more than once. Mark Wade, Dwayne McDuffie was his final store before he passed for Free Comic Day. Philip Tan, all these creators that have come out and been a part of the store. We're trying to get as many of them back out for our 20th anniversary year as possible. So, the Free Comic Day, we got I think we're up to 42 different creators, and they've all been, people have come multiple times, or come not multiple times, but they've been in the last 20 years. So, that kind of thing like that. Some of my favorite stuff is some of these staff members that I've had. I hate to say this because I know it's the thing now is oh, you can't, family, business, they're not the same thing, but honestly, my staff members are family. I have staff members that, that have kids now and met, I have 2 staff members that met here at the store and got married and have children now. So, I mean, and it's it's crazy because Free Comic Day is so large that we have volunteers, and it's always great because a bunch of old staff members keep coming back and helping out. They free up their time. They come and they do, they work their ass off for a 12-hour day basically just to help us with Free Comic Day because we're family, and that's the way I look at it. And then one of the biggest good memories, but sad memories for me, not sad, but makes me tear up, is during pandemic when we shut down. I had customers come up and they would come in and they'd be up to the doors and they'd be like, let me buy, or here's a couple $100, and it was just those kind of things, that seeing these guys who have been coming to us for 10 years, 12 years, showing up and just, here, let me just help you support, help support you guys. That actually made me cry. And I'm not a tearful person. And that one, just that hit me in my heartstrings. So, and then again, with 20 years, you start seeing some customers who pass on.
Yeah.
And some of these guys are really great people, and you end up getting a phone call from their survivors, and it's that just hits too. I had a father that was barely 35. He was swimming in the ocean and ended up hitting his head and drowning, and he was a good friend on top of being a customer, and we just randomly found out about it, and it was just whoa, everyone's in shock and stuff like that. So but yeah, I mean, I would say that the staff and customers being around are my favorite things, honestly.
Well, actually,
customers, but I love talking. So
yeah, no, I was gonna say you made me think of something there, and we're gonna give you guys a little behind the scenes what was going on right before we started recording. You actually were telling me that there was a figure there. I think it was a Robin figure. You said that just went off by itself.
Yeah.
I think you just explained who it was.
That could be actually. Yeah, that could be. And Sid probably, if it was going to be anybody, he was a jokester. So, but like I said, we actually want to start a memorial wall for some of these customers, that have been loyal to us for 20 something years. And then, when they pass on, like I have one customer, his wife passed, and, he has no kids, and his wife and him were really, really great people. They would come every year at Christmas with cookies. I do Santa Claus during Christmas time.
Yeah.
I'm at the local mall, and him and his wife would come down and take pictures with me every year and stuff like that. So I mean, it was kind of, it was very sad when she passed, but and so I go and have dinner with him every so often, or go hang out with him, just so that he's a great guy on top of everything. So I don't want to see him fall down. So
yeah,
I don't like to let people I like fall down. So
yeah. Well, what the greatest thing, the best part about what I'm hearing is that you were right all along. Yeah, like you said, you did it. You opened the shop out of spite, but really it's because you saw something that was missing, and almost 20 years later, you realize, yeah, you were right. Customer service is very important. How you treat the customers, and like you said, you treat them as family. We were talking right before. A comic book shop, the great ones, yeah, is because you treat them as family, not as customers.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, we try to learn everybody, and that comes from my experience, was not the guy never learning my name after even spending that large amount of money every week. It's like, you can at least learn my name, man. But I try to learn everybody's name, so that because our register system, we put your name in to keep track of everything. So it's like, I want to type in your name before you even get up there. So it's like, so that you're like, I'm going to see you every week. I should know your damn name. It's not rocket science. It's friendship. It's like your bartender. Your bartender should know your name too.
I was about to say that. I was. That's why I was smiling when you were saying that, because I'm thinking, I'm surprised all these years no comic book shop has been called Cheers.
That would be interesting. I picked our number. I picked ours with the number 4 in front of it, just so I'd be at the top of all the lists.
Yeah. Yeah, because usually, I get it. So they start numerically, which is smart, actually. I mean, we laugh, but it's smart.
Like I said, it was done out of spite.
Well, not spite. You do it yourself.
Yes, there it is.
That's what we'll go with. I mean, myself. It sounds like you just told us, but I'm going to ask anyway. Not that you're closing the shop anytime soon or anything, but to this point, what's been the most valuable lesson that Chris has learned from being a comic book shop owner?
No, I was taught this by another comic shop owner. His name's Car D'Angelo. He used to own Earth 2 in LA. We were at a Comics Pro meeting, and there was a set of like Hal Jordan with all the different Lanterns action figures that I wanted bad for myself. And he looked at me, he goes, "Are you buying this for a customer?" I said, "No, I'm getting it for myself." He's like, "All right." So he outbid me and kept outbidding me. He's like, "I'm going to teach you a lesson, right?" And I was like, "What? Car?" He's like, "Never participate in your own crap, Chris. You're gonna lose your money. You're gonna lose yourself if you do that. Make sure that you're not taking home everything. You're not buying one of everything for yourself. And that was the biggest lesson I've learned is in this time is, like I said, those boxes full of comic books that I took home every week that I never read because I would read them in the store. So it's like, why do I need 15 boxes of comics I'm never going to read again? So, that was kind of my biggest lesson. So.
Okay. Yeah. It's a good lesson, actually. So it's
money out of pocket. You got to look at that. And the other thing is never over order. I would much rather try to get copies of something for somebody than to end up with stacks of comics on the wall, because every one of those comics is your money you're never going to see back again.
Yeah.
Because, that's another lesson that I learned listening to Marvel marketing hype and got excited for something and ordered way too many, and just looking at the long box of comics that I'm never going to sell, sitting there going, wow, why did I order that? So,
yeah. Like I was going to say, now that brings us to this coming Saturday, May 2nd, Free Comic Book Day. So let everybody know who's going to be at the shop, what's going to be happening at the shop this Saturday.
All right. So every year we do Free Comic Book Day, big tents on the outside. We're doubling our size this year because we have 42 different creators. We have Will Spartacio, Gail Simone, Brett Bean, Kenneth Rookefort, uh, Dean White, Danny Minky, Norm Rathman. I mean, it's just a whole list of people. And then a bunch of local creators. They'll all be out under the tents. It's kind of like a serpentine. You start out in the tent and go through and see everybody, and then come into the store. And we have a bag filled with comics for every single person. We do it a little different than most stores because I know some stores put out tables of comics and let you just pick which ones you want. And I learned from Pandemic that if I just bag them up ahead of time and hand them to people, they're all happy with their free comics, and we get people through the line fast. And
Yeah.
it works well. And then if you want to shop, the shop has a big sale going on. It's, and people who want to shop can shop, and the people who just want free comics get their free comics. So,
But when you say you put them in the bag, is it all the titles or just certain titles?
No, we go through and we curate. There's a few that we put into every bag, like the major titles we try to put into every bag, but we curate it out so that you get some. And because I found that the majority of the people who come here go hit other stores too.
Yeah.
And pick up comics there. So if they come here first, they kind of get an idea of what they need to get from another store. So, and then we have certain ones that we hold back just because we're like, okay, these are ones that we didn't order a lot of because honestly, they're stuff we don't carry. But I know customers want stuff like that. So
yeah, I think a lot of it has to do also with the fact that some shops, not all of them, but some shops, they do put a limit that you can only get 2 or 1 or 3.
Our limit used to be it used to be 10. I think we're at like 15 or 16 comics right now in the bags. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we're not cheap. And last year it was like 24 comics per bag. So
yeah,
and we ran out of bags. So this year we had to like space it out a little bit more. So
yeah. Well, see that's you're more generous than most shops, because like I said, most of them say you put a 2, 3 a limit, and then if there's people like you were a collector and a completist, well, you have to have them all. So that's why they go to different shops to try to.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Because I mean that was my partner and I. That's what we used to do on Free Comic Book Day. We'd run around to different shops and try to get everything. So. And he's the one that hasn't learned the lesson yet because he just started like realizing how much stuff he has. Because every year he'd take home a box full of free comics, and I'm like, "Why do you need these?" He's like, "I don't know. I just took them." And I'm like, going, "Okay, so now I have 7, 8 boxes sitting in the back right now of old Free Comic Book Day books that I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with these?" So we'll just hand them out in line. So. That's the other thing too. We hand out a bunch of freebies to people waiting in line. So.
Yeah, I was going to say he could give the answer that I was telling you also before. But my son Chris, that's his answer now. Every time he goes to a convention, he comes back loaded with all kinds of stuff. And I ask him, "What do you need all this for?" And his answer is always, "Because I like it." Like, okay.
Yeah. But the problem that I have with this one was that he like gets them, leaves them in a box, and they sit in the garage. I'm like, okay, we need to get rid of this stuff. So
now, like you said, there's going to be, and I don't have, you sent me the list. I don't have it in front of me. You didn't give it up, but are all the artists going to be there all day or just for certain?
No, Wilf is going to be there from 11 to 2. And same thing with John Bailey and Bill Millsap. They're the voices of, respectively, of Jeff the Shark and the Punisher from the Rivals games. So they'll be here from 11 to 2 also.
Yeah.
But everybody else is pretty much here all day. So.
Yeah, and you said it was 11 to 4, right?
11 to 4, yeah.
Okay. So the shops, your actual anniversary is actually next New Comics Wednesday on the 6th. It falls on next Wednesday. So are there any special plans for the shop that day, or is it just going to be just a regular New Comics Wednesday?
We're working on it. So I'm trying to I've been so focused on just getting this free comic book day going that I haven't really figured out anything for anniversary day, but I'm pretty sure I'll have something to give away on that day to everybody who comes in. So, and then all of our subscribers are definitely going to get something. So,
I mean, you only have what, a few days
I've got some stuff planned already, but I mean, it's like stuff that I wanted to have for free comic book day won't be here till next week. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll do that then. We'll give those away on that day. So,
okay, yeah. And there's also what do you call it? May the 4th, Star Wars Day. You can do anything for the shop or no?
No, actually, I'm not. So part of the thing that made Gail and I and her husband become friends is that the first time she came down here, I said, well, I'm going to take you to Disneyland for coming. Thank you. So it's been a tradition for us to go to Disneyland, usually on Sunday afterwards, but I'm going to be too wiped for Sunday. So, and I already was going for May 4th because of Star Wars Day and Star Wars night that night. So we're all going to go to Disneyland on May the 4th. So, and we'll meet up and have a park day. And then my partner and I are going to go to the Star Wars night that night. So
you're going to celebrate it. I mean, it's weird to say this at the home of Star Wars, Disneyland.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be in Galaxy's Edge with my collapsible lightsaber. I have a retractable lightsaber that I saw on a video on TikTok, and I immediately said, must have. And there's a $500 lightsaber, and I'm like, I gotta have it. But I took it once already, and like literally spent like 15 minutes with Kylo Ren and 2 stormtroopers playing with the lightsaber. So it was kind of fun. So,
yeah. See, so all of you can hear.
He tells me I was the belle of the ball that day. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, for all of you listening, you see Chris is definitely one of us, so you definitely want to be at For Color Fantasies for free comic if you've never been before.
Around, you can see how messy my office is with stuff.
Yeah,
you'll see from free comic day how messy this office is. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, listen, I have everything linked up on the show description, but they like hearing it from the guests, so you let them know. Website, social media, everywhere they can follow For Color Fantasies.
Cool. We are on the web at www.forcolorfantasies.com with the number 4. We're also on Facebook at 4Color Rancho, or you can just search 4Color Fantasies. Instagram, TikTok. We are on X, but I'm not an X person, but I just can't take myself to delete it. But and we're on YouTube also. There's some videos from past free comic book days and some movie screenings, because we used to do movie screenings too. So we always would do. That's the other thing. We used to do a movie screening the Thursday night before free comic book day. And it would be like, whatever Marvel movie was coming out, we'd rent out a theater and have basically all of our customers were able to buy tickets and come with us. So
yeah, we did that. We did actually on free comic book days. So it was always fun doing those.
Oh my god! I can just imagine that chaos.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could do it because we're not running the free comic book days, so it was easier for us. But for the shops, I can imagine all of that. So again, I have all the links on the show description for all of you guys listening. And if you can be there this Saturday,
TikTok, even though it's Ellison owned now, but hey, whatever.
Yeah. So I'll say thank you for coming on. I know it's crazy time as we get closer to free comic book day. So thanks for coming on, and I'll wish you an early happy anniversary. I know it's next week, but I'll wish you again, next week when it actually is, and we'll see you, of course, this Saturday for free comic book day.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Access granted.